Welcome to the Political Matrix News. Politics, people, local, regional, national news. Political Matrix News keeps you informed. We have the sources, we have the truth from inside the Political Matrix.
Hello, we're back to the Political Matrix News broadcast. Tonight, we have a new speaker, Mike Johnson. He's actually not very new, but he got some of the bills passed finally here this week. And we're going to be talking about it here with Jonathan Cole, Navarre, and Scott Miller of Pensacola, Florida. How are you guys doing tonight?
Good.
Looks like we got the Ukraine funding passed, which McCarthy cannot get passed without Matt Gaetz having a flip-out attack and vacating him. And so it looks like Mike Johnson was able to get this year going. What do y'all think about that?
Well, personally, I think that Matt and his family have a lot more experience getting speakers tossed out. So that's probably why Marjorie Taylor Greene hasn't been able to do it. She just doesn't have the skill set and the background that the Gaetz family has.
That's very true. The Gaetz did throughout the Honorable Ray Sansom here, who was in a very good Speaker of the House here in Florida back in 2009 by a whole bunch of trumped up fake charges that cleared him totally. But they are really good at just making up stuff and throwing good people out. And that's what they're experienced at.
And well, think about what happened. What happened with Ray Sansom? They leveled charges against him. There were criminal charges that he had to resign his speakership to defend. And once he did, the judge in the case said that the case they should have never. Like 3 separate judges said those charges should have never even been brought because there was never any substance to them. The only thing the prosecutor proved, in the judge's opinion, was that everyone involved in the case had acted properly.
Exactly,
and he still managed to get him kicked out.
And this is what gave us Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz actually elected in a special election because of that removal of a speaker. And I'm sure that was in 2009. I guess what was that, 15 years ago now? It's a 15-year, 14 years later, he does the same thing to Kevin McCarthy and the Speaker of the House here in D.C. And now we got Mike Johnson, and they were threatening Mike Johnson with all this. If you act like McCarthy or if you negotiate or talk to Democrats or anything, we're going to get you out of here. And so Marjorie Taylor Greene has been the latest now. This issue is trying to vacate Mike Johnson if he moves forward with the Ukrainian bill on funding Ukraine in the war over there. And they did. They approved the $95 billion, and he survived. And so, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how much more, political capital he's going to get out of this.
Yeah. I think the question, too, is why was Matt silent during all of this? Usually he takes point when it comes to Freedom Caucus.
Well, I think
he hasn't even commented on this bill. Why is he quiet all of a sudden?
Well, I think McCarthy coming out about the reason why he was vacated was because of this investigation by the Ethics Committee about his sexual peccadillos and his lifestyle. I think he might have some reason to keep his mouth shut a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm quite sure that within the, Matt, although he doesn't have a lot of friends in D.C., he does have to have some, and he probably upset the apple carts of some of the people that he really kind of needs to pull this sort of stunt. I imagine that many people thought that the stunt was going to go this far.
What's really interesting is that he has this here candidate running against him named Gay. I forgot her last name, Wilson or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's running here in the Panhandle. And for the first time, and I remember in a long time, he actually made a media buy last week in April before the general. A $45,000 TV media buy he's already placed. And he's doing more media buys next week as well. And that's very unusual for Matt, because Matt has hardly ever done any media buys until July, or actually until August, or after the primary. And for him to be doing media buys in his own home district this early out to start it's weird. I know he can't be beat in his own district. Everybody says that, and I get that. But the whole point that he's actually spending money on the campaign this early out, It's curious.
My speculation.
Goes quiet.
My speculation is in the exact same way that when he first ran for Congress, if you'll remember, there were tons and tons of Gaetz signs everywhere. It was all just they didn't say, all they said was Gaetz for Congress, and that was Matt trading on his father's name because people were far. I know tons of people who thought that his dad was running. And because his dad at the time was a very popular politician, and Matt, just completely traded on his name. Now it's time for Matt to use those tremendous federal campaign resources to promote that Gaetz brand for his dad's reemergence into the Florida Senate.
Exactly.
And that's exactly what's going to happen. Just in time for him to run for governor in 2 years. So.
I pray he runs for governor. I pray he runs for governor. That man couldn't win he couldn't win a statewide race in Florida if they held a gun to the head of every single voter as they are casting their votes.
I hope so.
Well, we all agree with you. We hope that's the case, but we're going to see. I think there's some polling out.
To Congress, though, Mike Johnson getting something done.
Yeah, it's a pretty good deal.
It goes back to the fact that for the first time in a long time, a Republican leader said, "Hey, let's work together and get something done."
Kevin McCarthy tried really hard to get a lot of things done, but the Freedom Caucus was really holding his feet to the fire. Like, if you negotiate or talk to the Democrats you're cut. And this is actually, Mike Johnson was not fazed by the Freedom Caucus. They did the same thing to him.
Too, I noticed there was an article today. Even voting against Trump's wishes with FISA, and now this, Trump doubled down and said he supports Mike Johnson.
Right.
So maybe Trump told Gaetz, leave him alone.
Or maybe people starting to realize that you can disagree with someone on one issue and they're not your enemy. As Reagan used to say, my 80% friend is not my 20% enemy.
Well, that's why Reagan considered Tip O'Neill a very good friend over a lot of Republicans. It's like different parties.
God. I mean, if you spend any time in any capital anywhere, you go out to the little bars and restaurants outside these capitals, and all of these people are eating and drinking together.
Oh, no.
No matter how much they go after each other in the media.
Exactly. I mean, Tallahassee.
What's the name of that restaurant there?
Matt Gaetz and.
You went quiet.
What's that place on Adams Street where everyone goes? I mean, I can't count the number of times that I've sat there and out on one of the tables out on the sidewalk and just grabbed up and had little spontaneous meetings with people that were rolling by. Hey, stop! Let's have a drink. Let's talk about some stuff. And that's how it happens.
Yeah. No, definitely. But I mean, it's when the parties can find some agreement, and that's part of what the Freedom Caucus has done is. This no quarter politics, you can't bend on any issue. Well, in this country, you get nothing done doing that. I mean, it just doesn't work. And
they don't want to get anything done. They are a fundraising group.
I know that, but at some point,
you're consistent with that.
You hope people figure that out. But it's interesting though, because me and Greg have talked about it. We've got the most effective Democratic minority leader, Hakeem Jeffries, in a long time, and now Mike Johnson showing some balls, and depending on which way it goes next year, we'll see. But maybe there's a chance for more. Let's work together and actually get something done instead of this current Congress has the fewest passed bills, and it's not even close of any Congress. Where are we at now? 100 what Congresses?
Yeah,
like it's nothing. It's been nothing but obstruction and drama and all of that. So
both sides are guilty of that. And that's it's the slim margin. It's the slim margin and the opposition houses, where both houses are led by opposition leaders. So why would they accomplish a thing?
Well, when you agree to work together, that's always been the secret is what do you want? And I'll see if I can give you that if you'll give me what I want. So that happened for the first time in almost 2 years.
That's what they should do for sure.
Good thing.
Yeah.
I'm very skeptical on the whole Ukrainian funding. I've been very skeptical for a long time, but at the end of the day, you gotta stop Putin. You just can't.
No, I mean he's already made 2 prior land grabs. He's an admitted autocratic fascist. They have sham elections. He kills his political opponents. I mean, this isn't an ally we want.
But damn well better work.
Well, I mean, when we were giving them arms, they were doing pretty well. It's when it stopped that you can't do much without bullets. So we'll see what happens.
Right.
But at some point, it turns into Vietnam for Putin if we fund it. So
yeah, but we can't keep funding it forever if we don't win.
No, but I mean, we can't. There's that fragment there that wants to support Russia, and I'm not going down that road.
It's like we have a large part of America that wants to support Hamas, and I have no freaking idea why.
That's not a large portion. It's just a very vocal minority.
It's a very vocal, small portion. It's kind of like all the other groups on the left side of the party that are very, very, very small in size, but they got these here microphones and cameras by the balls. And it's not good.
But the one issue, though, we'll see now, because it's gotten very quiet to have been such a huge, major crisis, is the border. We haven't talked about that in 2 weeks in Congress.
No, they haven't.
And it was originally tied to this legislation as it was removed.
And it should not, exactly. It should be removed.
So now what happens because if it's such a major crisis...
it needs to be its own legislation, its own funding mechanism.
But, it's been a few months ago, but Mitch McConnell and Mike Johnson both said, we're not going to do anything because Trump doesn't want us to. He wants it to stay an election issue.
Well,
and then I just saw this the other day. I'll actually quote a Texas representative named Troy Nell said that we will not bring up a border bill the rest of this session because let me tell you, I'm not willing to do too damn much right now to help a Democrat and to help Joe Biden approval ratings.
Well, that's sad.
Okay, so that boils it down to what it is. It's not. Is it a crisis or is it an election issue? You got to make up your mind. Because if you truly felt it was a crisis, you'd have found some way to dicker the other day and have added a border bill in.
Well, because no
matter how hard you work, the people who are running things aren't going to make it happen because it is such a lucrative fundraising issue.
And also, policy-wise, for a crisis, it should have its own legislation, its own earmarks, its own funding, and everything else. It should not be, put in another bucket. Has nothing to do with the border whatsoever.
Amendments
that's what the Democrats who want to say, it's really a crisis. You go ahead and fund these other 3 balloons over here that have nothing to do with this balloon over here. And you really just go ahead and just throw the baby into the bathwater.
Going on for 250 years. So,
and that's the reason why we've been in debt for so many years in this country is because the way we manage our budgeting in D.C. is horrible.
Funding bills used to be restricted to specific topics. If you were going to put it on a funding bill, they had very specific things, and everything kind of fell within that range. Now, no, they tie them to everything. Right. Tying something to something unrelated used to be objectionable and rarely done. Now it's the way they do things. That's why we have the continuing resolutions instead of an actual budget.
In the civilian world, they call that, fraud. And civilian world, government.
Like I said, Mike Johnson found his balls. If it doesn't come up again, maybe a workable solution happens before the election.
Well, I'm sure it will. I'm sure they'll have some sort of idea here before the election. I mean, basically, the funding needs to be electronic drones and more for electronic wall and the wall, and also they need a lot more. They need more personnel.
I do respect Johnson for his statement, but why he changed gears is being House Speaker. He was made privy to briefings he normally didn't have clearance for, and then he's like, "Oh no, we've got to stop these guys." You know,
when you're giving more information.
But with that threat of you do this and we'll vacate you like we did McCarthy, he went ahead and did it anyway. I mean, this was kind of the subject of JFK's book Profiles in Courage. There's a lot of people that did things for the right reason, but paid the price or didn't. But I mean,
I will say
Mike Johnson did a good thing.
He comes from a tough area. He comes from Shreveport, Louisiana, which is not a paradise by any stretch of the imagination. It's a tough community. It's a tough area, and he's doing a tough job and doing it well.
So I'm curious now to see the direction Congress takes for the rest of this this term, really, because once they take their next recess, they're done to the election till the lame duck session starts.
It'll be very interesting. But I think that's going to be enough for this segment here real quick. I think we got a little bit over here. And so just stay tuned, and we'll be right back with the Political Matrix News. Bye-bye.